Property tax appraisers in Texas went after a real estate agent who was helping people protest their property tax appraisals. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's not directly related to being a landlord, but it does have something that, it has to do with something that is a problem for all of us, and that's property taxes. Obviously, property taxes are a huge, huge issue for landlords, okay? We are always paying them. We'll never have to stop paying them, and they can take a huge chunk out of that money that you make every single month. So a realtor down in Texas, right, was helping people, they would fight their appraisal so that they could pay lower tax bills. And unfortunately, the government bureaucrats down there in the appraiser's office, they didn't like what he was doing. So they filed a formal complaint against this guy for trying to help people pay lower taxes. Can you believe this? I mean, come on here, okay? Now, I know I personally have protested the amount of taxes I've had to pay on my properties before. And you know what? It has to do with, hey, simply put, I don't like paying such high taxes when I don't feel like I'm getting the benefit out of it for, what I'm paying, okay? What is the city doing for me? Are they providing good roads? Are they giving me good law enforcement? Or are they, contributing to causes that I don't agree with? Well, in some cases, that's exactly what they're doing. So I'm always going to try to lower my tax bill. I'm always going to try to pay as little taxes as possible, no matter what anyone thinks. And you know what? This realtor here is doing the exact same thing. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? Do you protest the property tax bills when you get them? And here's another question for you. Do you think you are paying too much in taxes, in property taxes specifically? I don't think I've ever met a landlord who thinks they are paying too much, or who doesn't think they're paying too much in property taxes, okay? I've never met a real estate investor. In fact, most homeowners will even agree with me there, okay? We are paying too much in property taxes. And, it's a ridiculous joke. Now, here in Omaha, Nebraska, obviously, we're in the center of the country. Property prices are a lot lower here, but we have one of the highest property tax rates in the entire country. And it's so detrimental to real estate here. I mean, I don't know where the money goes. Just by comparison, down in Kansas City where I'm from, the property taxes are significantly lower. And Kansas City and Omaha, in terms of the population of the city itself, are very similar. I think, both of them are just a hair under 500,000 people living in the cities, right? Yet the taxes in Omaha are extremely high by comparison. So obviously I'm like, well, what's the difference here? The weather is very similar. The areas are very similar. The populations are very similar, but we're paying significantly more in taxes. I don't feel like I'm getting, my money's worth here in Omaha. Anyway, let's get into this article. It's coming from WFAA.com, and it says, property tax officials complained about a realtor protesting appraisals. Now they could be fired. The Tarrant Appraisal District will consider firing their top 2 employees after they complained about realtor Chandler Crouch. So yeah, looks like the realtor might get the last laugh on these guys because they filed a formal complaint against him. Now they might be losing their jobs. But anyway, let's get into this article and see what it says. Tarrant County, Texas. You may have heard of Chandler Crouch by now. He's the guy who for the last few years has been helping people protest their property values, which ultimately determine how much they pay in property taxes. Well, the Tarrant Appraisal District has apparently heard of him too. And the top 2 employees of TAD don't seem to like him very much, as they filed a personal complaint against Crouch on county time and with a Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation letterhead. As a result, TAD officials are meeting Thursday to consider terminating Randy Armstrong, TAD's Director of Residential Appraisal and author of the complaint, and TAD Chief Appraiser Jeff Law, who was reportedly aware of Armstrong's complaint filing. So I think the big thing here is that they filed this complaint, on company time, on the agency's time, with the agency letterhead. So it sounds like the complaint is coming from the agency, not the individuals. Okay, so that's a huge issue. But what right do these guys have to make the complaint? And I'm curious. Maybe the article goes more into why they were making this complaint. But to me, I have to wonder why are these bureaucrats so concerned about this realtor who is filing protesting these property tax valuations. Okay, if he is following the law and helping people file these property tax valuation protests, right, then there's nothing that he's doing that's wrong. Okay, and it's not going to hurt these bureaucrats either way. I think that they just are butthurt because he's winning and they're losing. That's what it sounds like to me. The complaint accused Crouch of misrepresentation of facts and abuse of his dual positions as both a property tax consultant and realtor, saying he misled members of the Tarrant Appraisal Review Board during an appraisal hearing last year. The complaint said Crouch had a property listed for about $2.5 million in Colleyville, while he testified to the review board that the market value of the home was around $880,000. But Crouch, in a response posted on his website, said it's not a violation to list a house for sale and represent the client in a protest hearing, as happened for the Colleyville home. And Crouch said the $2.5 million figure on his online listing, the $2.5 million listing on his online listing was a combination of 3 property tax accounts, not just the one house. The properties included 2 homes, 2 barns, 4.72 acres, and an apartment. This is not close to an equal comparison, Crouch said of the TAD members accusing him of valuing a $2.5 million listed property at $880,000. So yeah, they accused him of basically, lying or cheating or whatever, saying this $880,000 house, or I'm sorry, that this $2.5 million property was only worth $880,000. And he's like, hey, that's 3 separate properties, that's worth $2.5 million. Not just this one house. I didn't do anything wrong. According to him, it's not wrong to be a property tax consultant or illegal to be a property tax consultant and a realtor. They wanted to get this guy fired. They wanted to, hurt him financially. And all he's doing is trying to help homeowners and property owners lower the amount of property taxes they pay. So I like to talk about, like the property taxes here in Omaha, but Texas is known as having some of the highest property taxes in the entire country, okay? I mean, I looked at moving to Dallas a few years back, and the property taxes there are outrageous, okay? They are so high. It is crazy, I mean, I understand that, it's one of those things where they don't have a state income tax. So some of the money that you're paying in property taxes is making up for the fact that they don't have that state income tax. But man, I mean, it's something that you really just have to learn to deal with, and just budget for it if you do decide to move down there or start investing there, So yeah, I'm pretty, I understand where this guy is coming from. I understand why he is helping people protest their property tax payments, because when you're talking about, hey, I'm paying, $1,000 or $2,000 a month for a house, okay, in property taxes. Well, suddenly a lot of people, if you can cut off a couple $100, you're saving thousands of dollars a year, thousands of dollars. So it's worth it. And a lot of the times, it is the best thing overall for the property owners, and it is a fair and legal way to do it, okay, to lower your property tax bill. I'm not one of those people who believes that people should pay 0 taxes, okay? I believe that there are some things that, the government should be doing for people, right? But I'm one of those people who says we should minimize it. It should be as little as possible, that we shouldn't be doing ridiculous projects and spending money on frivolous things just because, okay? You know, we should focus what the government is doing on the things that are necessary for, you know, the population in general, like roads and fire protection, police protection, in the terms of federal government, like military and, infrastructure, etc. Right? But when you go beyond that and you start getting into these social, well, we're gonna help bring back the spotted owl or whatever. Listen, I don't want to be paying high property taxes so we can help the spotted owl, okay? Anyway, let's keep going on this article. The complaint also accused Crouch of mockery of the current tax system, claiming he will bring shame to the Texas Association of Property Tax Consultants, Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, Institute for Professionals in Taxation, and the Texas property tax industry as a whole. Crouch wrote that the complaint was absurd, illogical, and purely emotional. Yeah, and that last part did sound pretty illogical and emotional. He will bring shame to these organizations, whatever. Okay, it's pretty obvious to me that these guys were pretty butthurt because this guy was doing a good job. Okay, he's a property tax consultant and he was doing a good job of getting his clients and, you know, the people who worked for him, or the people he was working for, their bills lowered. Okay, and I got no problem with that. So, you know, interesting story. I hope these guys, they lose their jobs. I do, honestly, because protesting your property tax evaluations or helping people protest property tax evaluations, there's nothing wrong with that. And they, you know, shouldn't have gone after this guy in the way they did.